Noxcrew!
How's it going, guys? Avondale back here today, and I'm on the Noxcrew Gameshow build server. And I'm just getting off the bus that transports our contestants to the show when we film. So today I'd like to show you guys a few things behind the scenes that you may or may not have watched on one of the contestants' point of views. I'll link below to the contestants who uploaded their pre-game footage, but essentially we like to provide our contestants with some better experiences before they get into the game show to not only get them into the mood of filming, but also to give them some interesting content for their channels. So we prepare a bunch of things as they walk into the game show factory that you never see on Noxcrew videos, which is unfortunate, but I like to show you guys around some of the Redstone stuff that I added for this episode. So the main thing we wanted to do was have our visitors welcome center here, and the main point of this welcome center was to scan our contestants into their respective teams. That's all the point of this was, but we thought if we were going to set it up, we might as well do it in a fancy way. So we built these scanners here. These blocks here are actually command blocks with nothing in them. That's just how they look in Jollycraft. And these scanners basically just open up, and the people walk in, and then they close behind them. Now, interestingly enough, on the night, these scanners actually either hadn't been reset properly or something broke in them, and as they were filming it, I managed to fix them on the fly, which was really lucky, to be honest. But yeah, so we're looking at it down here. I was under here while they were up above, and you just push this button to start it, and it goes through a bunch of things that G.O.B, the game show organizer bot, will start talking to you, and this is where he actually introduces himself. So if I just grab a redstone block out of here real quick, we can trigger it. And you'll see he says, "Good afternoon, contestants. My name is Game Show Organizer Bob. You can call me G.O.B for short." So he starts talking to them, and yes, I should mention that is a reference to Arrested Development. So we continue down. There's more talking. These are just hopper timers that control the time between the next one. So we get down there, and it turns on this machine, and this machine right here is testing for players that are sitting inside each of the scanners. So once one player goes into both of them, it's going to shut the doors on it and start this countdown, where it's going to give the blue armor to the blue player and say their name and that they've joined the blue team, and then it's going to do the same thing for the yellow team at the end. Comes over here, tells them to exit the scanning bay, and then it's going to actually open up the doors so they can go, and that's what these machines are. Now this iron block here, as the different contestants go through, will just move over, and this is just a counting machine that I made to make sure that the doors would only... Basically, I need to control how often the sequence happened, and so I made a counting machine there to make that work. And then over here, this was a mechanism that closed the doors behind and triggered the next person. So there was one test for each side, and I did 3 of these as a method of counting as well. And then at the end here, he just says this. Now if we come back over here, I want to point this command out again. It says give blue armor here. You'll see at the start. This was a command that's coded into our custom plugin that we have by one of our coders, whose name is Vaxuite. And the game show tool helped out tremendously, and I want to personally thank him right now on video, because he did so much work with me to try to get the plugin working correctly, and he did an absolutely fantastic job with it. He did so many things that we can't do with regular Redstone or based on bucket limitations and stuff like that. But this give blue armor command was applied just so we could make sure we got the right armor with the right enchantments, and also that it wouldn't fall off you at any point during the show. If you wanted to give yourself the armor, you would do give blue armor and then the gamer tag of the person, and it gives you a set of armor. Now if we look at that in our inventory, you can see that the resource pack has it with the sweatband and everything else, but then it just gives unbreaking armor, so that, and it's the specific color as well. And on top of that, there's actually a refresher that every time it damages itself, the game would replace it back with a full one to make sure that their armor would never break. So now that we've seen that, we'll make a quick cut here and we'll go over to the next thing. Alright, so we're inside the main walls of the Noxcrew Game Show factory now. And this is where the contestants meet their helper bots, so the yellow ones on this side and the blue ones on this side. Now the helper bots would fly up these tubes. I have night vision on right now, which is why it's so bright up here. And they would have this control panel of buttons to hit, and so you'd see lights flashing and you'd hear noises and different things. Now this was designed by the helper bots themselves, actually, and the helper bots were Nile and Ellie were the two helper bots. But when Nile, the blue helper bot, would come up this tunnel, there was actually another button over here, and pressing this button is what opens up this door down here, as well as triggers the fireworks show that we did. So I will go get that fireworks show ready to get set up, and then I'll show it to you guys. Okay, so we've made it through the walls. We're inside the Noxcrew Gameshow factory property right now, and I'm going to go ahead and trigger the fireworks show, and then we're going to watch it and then talk about it. So the first thing that happens is it sets it to night, so you can see the fireworks better. You heard the door behind us. And now the first thing it does is it runs a strip of fireworks down the edges, and when it gets to the end, it starts the fountain effect right at the bottom. And now, all of a sudden, you're going to see them shooting over our shoulders, and the launchatorium in the center here starts going off. And you'll notice the same time all these fireworks are going off, it's fading back into day. That was because we wanted people to see the Game Show factory in its daylight when this happened. So, the first thing we'll talk about here with fireworks is, you know, they get shot out of dispensers and they'll go up in the air. But you can actually direct them with streams of water, and so we use this fountain in a design that I like to call the launchatorium. It's from a different project that we've worked on but haven't released anything on. And the idea is that it launches things around clockwise in a circle, and they all shoot out sort of with sideways velocity as they come out. So yeah, if we can just trigger that real quick, you can see that it's going to come out there with a little bit of sideways velocity. Hopefully I didn't just ruin too much there when I flooded it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll just go down underneath here and show how the entire show gets triggered. If I can fly through here, there we go. So this mess of command blocks down here is what actually triggers the show. It places a redstone block here to trigger it. And this is where I mentioned that it sets it to night. Right here. And now, as it goes along, these different command blocks are just putting redstone blocks in different places where fireworks need to be shot off. So it's going to shoot them all off. And it also branches off to the side here. And all this area of command blocks rather does is it increases the time gradually, so it looks like the sun is coming up faster in the background. So that's how we did that. Now if we fly over here, we should be able to see the launchatorium right here, and it doesn't look like I flooded it, so that's great. It's pretty simple, really. Just redstone blocks to send the or iron blocks rather to send the signal up. This is the thing right here that controls the loop of it. So when it's up, and less glitchy than that. There we go. When it's up, the signal is allowed to go around in a circle, and the signal is caused from here. And when it goes back down, that blocks the signal from going through here, or doesn't allow it to pass, and it stops it. Okay guys, so we're in front of the main entrance to the Noxcrew Game Show, and I'm going to show you guys sort of what we did with opening the door in this episode. So if you watch the contestants' point of views, you'll know that this door actually exploded, and they didn't manage to catch the full glory of it, so I'm just going to sort of show you guys what happened right now. If you don't want spoilers, go watch their videos first. So Nox would come up here, and he would push that button and think the door would open, and then it didn't. So you'd blame it on the redstoners. My favorite part of this, by the way, is that this wall block just juts out the other side every single time. So you'd come around here and try to fix the redstone, and he'd push this button and G.O.B would say error, 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 and then the TNT would start going off. Now I'm just showing you guys the base animation right now. I can't show you guys it actually exploding because we have TNT turned off on the Noxcrew build servers because people like to play jokes, and we like to not do that to our important builds. So if I go back here real quick, I should be able to fix this right up. Yeah, there we go. So we have a schematic saved that fixes all the damage, and let me tell you, when you guys see that with the TNT blocks, it's quite amazing. These pink wools are actually still here as a design guide for when we originally built this door. So we'll go ahead and just clean up some of this mess here, and we'll take a drop down under the floor and see what happened. So we're down here. This is the machine that causes that piston to spit in and out, and it's really just a sort of a fast clock going back and forth, adding and deleting a redstone block. And now this stuff all over here was done by a guy called Ikean, who's one of my build team members for Joffrey's Chamber. He also did the 3D models for the Noxcrew sign that's you see in Super Hole in the Wall. So we're looking at this now, and this is using a technique that, how should I describe it? We didn't develop this technique of making explosions look nice for Gameshow. We developed it for another project that I am leading that we aren't really talking about yet, but you guys might be able to guess which one it is. So it's doing a few different things. It's putting the TNT in, obviously, and igniting it, but it's also summoning falling sand blocks. And if you summon falling sand blocks from the point where the actual block is, and you give it the tile ID of the actual block that it is, and then give it random velocities coming out towards you, which is this, if we come over here, you see the motion. Those are all randomized in different directions. It gives a really good feeling of just a chaotic explosion. And so these right here were all the command blocks it took him to make that explosion work. And then over here at the end, I believe, is where we added in the chickens. So we're also spawning in chickens that come down inside the decision dome, and that's what ends up getting clogged up and spewing all over the platform. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show today is my workstation for Gameshow Episode 6. Now, these buttons right here are how G.O.B knows what game to teleport people to, some of his messages as well, and it also returns everyone to the dial after the game. So you'll see over here, first of all, I have a series of buttons with the signs above them. That's just teleporting you into the different games, and it actually brings you to the behind-the-scenes sort of redstone area that I was triggering the games from during the game show. So you can get back as well. Now, there's some extra teleports that are sort of laid around, and these machines over here are the actual teleporters for the individual game, for the contestants rather, in the dial. So what's going to happen to trigger these is when you push the on button to activate them. Let's just go do that real quick. See if I can remember where it is. Start dial teleports. There we go. So you'll see right here, there had been a redstone block down here stopping those clocks, but it removed that and added these. And so these are 20 hertz clocks, the best 1.7 could offer, actually. And you see it's just placing and removing that over and over again. So what that's doing is it's checking 5 things, and there's one of these for each player. So that was player 1 here, who I deleted. Let's put that back real quick. So it's player 1 there, player 2, player 3 here, and what it's checking for is different scoreboard objectives. So if we look in here, you'll see that it's teleporting everyone within a radius. So 20 times a second it was checking for people who were way up in the air above those teleporters. It's looking for a yellow player, and who has a player score equal to 2, and the min is equal to 2 as well. So it's looking for player 2 on yellow team, and now it's looking for a destination score equal to 1. So this first command block here was Destination 1's score, and Destination 1 was the first game, which was Picture Panic V2. So it would teleport them to these coordinates, which is Picture Panic V2. And that worked identically for the rest of these, except if you look over here, this is player 3 instead of player 2. And then blue is the same thing, but just with the blue team. Now, we were originally going to do teleports back out of the pipes, and that's what those were set up for, but to save time, we decided to not do it. It also seemed like a hassle, so those actually work, they just aren't hooked up. And so these buttons over here are how G.O.B selects the different destinations. So when Noxcrew would announce the games after the butcher picked them, you could see in chat that G.O.B would say something to the contestants, configuring teleport, and then complete, and then he'd tell them the destination to the game. And so when it's doing that, he would say configuring teleport, and then he would set everyone with a playing score, which meant that they were a contestant in the game. He would set their destination score to 1. He would also set their spawn points when he did this, and this was just to make sure that if anyone died, they didn't get sent to the wrong game. We had a pretty big problem with that during testing, where people would die in games we didn't expect, and they would be spawned back into lockdown because of the spawn point system that was set over there. So we did these as a failsafe overall to make sure that they would respawn back in the games they were supposed to. And then at the end, there's just a message that says it's complete, and then the contestants would jump. So we'll go ahead and shut these off, but we're going to go back up into the dial right now, actually. I'll push this button. And now we can take a look at how the jump boost effects sort of happen. Now, these weren't designed great. They were designed the best they could be at the time that we did them. And if we were ever doing these again, I would probably do them a different way. So essentially, when the closest yellow team member jumped on, they got a resistance effect so they wouldn't die. If we break this redstone dust, we'll see in here, it set their player score as well, so if they changed pipes, the game wouldn't get confused. And it also gave them a big jump boost. This is the one that makes them go up in the air. It's number 8, the first number you're looking at here, is the one that is the jump boost ID. And then the second number is the time of the effect, and the third number is the power of it. So now you'll see here when they would step on it, that would give power to this redstone up here, so this torch would turn off. And that was so if they got back off the pressure plate, it would clear their effects of the closest player. So basically we had an issue with the system before where the players would get on, they would get the jump boost, and then they would walk back out and be able to jump up high and get up near the chicken. We didn't want that to happen, so we just flipped it over backwards. So that's how the teleports worked in Gameshow episode 6. Alright, so I've shown you guys the intro to the Gameshow episodes, and I've shown you how the different redstone tricks that we did worked. And you've also seen some behind-the-scenes footage of the factory and the surrounding area that people really don't get to see a whole lot unless they're an actual Noxcrew builder. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be doing some more behind-the-scenes of Gameshow on the main channel, and there's a pretty good chance I'll end up doing some more behind-the-scenes videos on here for Gameshow as well. Hopefully sometime soon you guys will see some different types of behind-the-scenes videos from me working on some brand new projects, so you'll get to see how things are going before we release stuff. Until then, I've been Avondale. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.